you know what this means. This means bike. Not a new bike, because who buys new bikes these days? Look at that green. You guys know what this is? This is a 2023 Santa Cruz Blur that I bought used, together with the saddle and the dropper post, and looks like I have a bottom bracket. Let's check this out, guys. And this is the Blur C, the cheaper version that they offer, actually easily recognizable by the black and white badge. If it was the CC version, it would have had red letters here for Santa Cruz. And the main difference between the two versions is the carbon, or the quality of the carbon used to build the frame. That also results in a difference in weight, but what kind of weight are we talking about here? The Bergtech through axle, rear axle is 46 grams. Here is your seat clamp, 68, and this is the UDH hanger, 97 grams. That Fox float shock is pretty light. Here is 264 grams. If you're thinking about removing some of the frame protection, just like Specialized does with Epic EVO, that's only 27 grams, including the two tiny screws, so I don't think it's worth it. And with all that installed, this is a medium frame, and we're looking at 2,450 grams altogether. That's quite a bit for a frame like this, especially since this is what's being used for the cross-country version of the bike as well. And it's definitely heavier than the Specialized Epic EVO that this Blur is often compared to. You see them here side by side, and that Epic EVO is 1,950 grams with the Fox shock. Both of these frames are medium frames. If you go for the CC version, you save about 250 grams, so 2,200 grams. And if you go for the black, so the raw color of the frame, you save another 50 grams. So we're talking 1950 versus 2150, about 200 grams heavier than the Epic EVO that you guys ask me a lot about. Now, I also mentioned that this can be had as a cross-country version, and that's very simply done just by removing the shock and installing one with a 40mm stroke. This one is 45, providing you 115 millimeters. And you can see the two bolts here, very simple to actually replace the shock. Otherwise, there's no flip chip to be modified when you make the change, but you will definitely see changed angles both on the seat tube and the head tube. Make sure you check their website for full details on the geometry numbers. Santa Cruz is using a flex stay design. We don't have a pivot here in the back, and this frame does not use their VPP either. Many expected this bike to be called the Superlight, but Santa Cruz just calls this suspension design Superlight. You can see the absence of the pivot. You have the post-mounted caliper here inside of the triangle, and this is a one-piece, definitely beefier, or looks beefier than the Epic EVO that I mentioned earlier. And at the bottom, that beefy main pivot and the upper link with 4 more bearings, all coming with lifetime warranty. As you would expect these days, the frame comes with an UDH hanger, so you can install the T-type. Look at these really nice and thick and ribbed chain stay protector. You have a chain guard made by 1UP that would attach right in here. You have a threaded bottom bracket, yay! You have 2 spaces for bottle cages right inside, and the third one right over here, so if you want to make this a marathon bike, you could. And otherwise, everything feels solid. The down tube, the chain stays, even those flexi seat stays. Where I like this frame better than the Epic EVO, and definitely better than the headset cable routed Epic World Cup, is this, the cable routing. And you see 4 ports here at the head tube. This frame only provides tube and tube for the dropper post, nothing else. So you have a tube going from here all the way to this bottom port. The other 3 ports that you see here on the headset are not dedicated, so you can run your cable routing whichever way you want. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that cables would be loose on the down tube, but Santa Cruz wraps the hoses in foam, something very similar to what you see here in my hand. If you're wondering about the color, this is a 2023, it's called Seafoam, and it looks absolutely amazing. Definitely when you take a closer look at it, but because it's a matte paint, it will probably show all kind of blemishes and rubbing marks. So I definitely plan to protect it. I have my ride wrap kit ready to go, but I have to bank for another 50 grams or so added to the frame once I'm done with it. Finally, if you're interested in the maximum insertion for a dropper post, this is a medium frame. I have that seat post fully inserted, and if we measure it, that's pretty much 11.5 inches or 29.5 centimeters. That's a ton of seat post you can insert in the frame, so I don't think that should be an issue. Santa Cruz, just like Specialized, provide very good information about the frames, and I will ask you to check that out on their website if there's anything else that I missed. But I am interested to hear if you have any questions about this frame since I have it in my hands. I bet that you're gonna wanna see it next to the Epic EVO, and I'm definitely gonna do that when this bike is built. But until then, I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, hope to see you folks on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers.